Welcome to the Faith is Not Blind podcast. I'm Sarah Devonier, and today I'm especially thrilled to be able to talk about what we're going to talk about. A lot of our podcasts have been centering on the formative years of people's testimonies and how they've been able to remain faithful. And today we're going to talk about some complexities that may happen later in life in parenting and other experiences with people that you love. So I think this will be an important message. Here with me I have Stan Ricks. I'm really thrilled that you're here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
We're going to talk a little bit about your experience as a father and how you tried to raise your children in the gospel. Just a little bit, if you can give some context, how many kids you have and what your home was like raising your kids.
Well, it was 6 kids, under 10 at one time. It was chaos, as normal, normal chaos.
Normal chaos, controlled chaos.
Yeah, semi-controlled chaos, anyway. And actually, full disclosure, Sarah was our favorite, incredible piano teacher. Amazing. We
so
loved Sarah.
I do know their family, yes, very well, fortunately.
It was great. So we had 6 kids every 2 years apart for about, had 6 under 10 at one time. And, I think we tried to do the normal, right things, the check off the box type things, family home evening and do fun things together on Saturday weekends and have Sunday dinner together and had dinner together every night and probably the fairly normal
and
things.
You had, from my experience, it was a very closely knit family where your kids felt comfortable talking about their concerns and voicing what they were thinking.
Yeah, I would say absolutely, yes. Yeah. I mean, we talked about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids would come tell us about their trying to kiss somebody or their first kiss or stuff that I would have never told my parents about. Never.
Yeah, a very loving, open
very
home
open.
and gospel-centered.
Yeah, very much so.
Would you talk about one of the most difficult experiences that happened with one of your kids? Just give as much context as you want leading up to that, whatever you're comfortable with.
Probably, this was probably 7-8 years ago when our daughter, Lauren, I think she was at 19 or so, she had just returned from semester abroad in Jerusalem, actually with BYU Jerusalem Center. And she started having some issues with some eating disorders, and we couldn't figure out exactly what was the problem. She'd always been an incredibly happy kid and just had lots of friends and very self-confident. In fact, one of our favorite quotes, she used to say that all the girls wanted to, all the boys liked her and all the girls wanted to be like her.
Yeah.
Because she had literally ran around a pack of friends all the time, and she was the center of the party, just fun-loving kid. And all of a sudden, she started having these really serious emotional issues, and again, just developed this eating disorder. And we just tried to counsel at BYU for a while, and just saw that it was getting worse. So she actually put her in just going to a day center for the Center for Change, a place in Provo, Orem area, which is very highly rated for helping with eating disorders. And then one day they called us and said she had tried to commit suicide. And we said, which was incredible shock. Our son was getting married literally I think next day or 2 days later or something like that. And we just go, what? I mean, why would this happy girl, fun loving, everything, what's happening? So we decided to commit her into the Center for Change for full time, for at least for a few months or something to see what could happen. And she just kind of spun out of control. She went from bad to worse to worse to worse, so we talked to her and tried to figure out what was going on, and she became very withdrawn, especially from me. Didn't want to be in the same room with any man especially. And it turned out, as we kind of got into it, that there had been some issues that we had not been aware of when she was younger. You can kind of fill in the blanks, you know, and nothing to do with any family member or anything else. But that she had had some issues with people.
Yeah.
And she was abhorred by men generally, and all men actually, and and that just kind of went on for several months, probably 3 or 4 months, and we tried to peel the layer of the onion off to try and find out more and more, and she really didn't talk to us very much at all, and eventually she came out of the Center for Change. She was doing better in the eating disorder area, but she was getting very, very withdrawn from us, very angry towards us. And until one day she talked to Connie, my wife, and told her, she said, and I can let Connie tell her side of the story, but basically told her it had come out that she was gay, and that Connie, she said, well, I guess, Mom, right? And she kind of said, no, why? She didn't know anything, but I'll let her tell the rest of that story. And became very angry and bitter towards us, towards the church,
Yeah.
towards men, everything, and became very a lot of self-defeating
Yeah.
behavior and
So,
cutting, etc.
with this obviously traumatic experience for her and for your whole family, how did that affect your faith at first? With how you had a gospel-centered home, and then trying to deal with that, what kind of an influence did that have on your faith, your belief in the church and God, if any?
It was the most important thing we could hang on to. Honestly, it wasn't even on the radar screen to be angry at the church or angry at God or anything else. We thank heavens we had the church, we had God, we had a support system, we had, we were grounded, and had always taught being grounded in the gospel, and it was something we could hang on to.
Yeah, I want you to clarify that, because sometimes people, when they do get angry at the church, when they have kids who are gay or when they are gay, tell me what you hung on to, because I think it's important for people to understand what people who are faithful are hanging on to.
Well, I mean, I felt the church was true before, the church was true during, the church was true after. I honestly didn't really, it didn't impact my feelings toward the church in any shape or form.
Well, I think that shows us how grounded you are, that your root system was very deep.
I think that's true. That's true. I mean, again, my testimony in the church is probably more foundational, more on the Book of Mormon, and Joseph Smith as a prophet, and not necessarily based on maybe different policies the church had,
right. or any cultural ideas,
or the cultural side of the church.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think for me, it's not a difficult thing to compartmentalize the culture, the LDS culture versus the LDS versus the church and the doctrine. And I think from different policies, I mean, I've read and studied enough about church history, and there's lots of policies that, there's different ideas, different, even in terms of doctrine, things change, different perspectives over time.
Well, I think it's admirable that you were separating, like you said, categorizing. Here are the principles and here are the policies. And you were basing your faith on the principles. So as you clung to those principles, I love how you said that was your support. How did you use that to navigate your relationship with a daughter who was angry?
It was, we would encourage her to like read talks from general authorities and things, and she would just, she would tear it up, very basically. She wouldn't have anything to do with it. She was very angry. we, you know what? It really came down. We just loved her. That was it. You know that you know, we felt like we knew how she felt about the church, and we felt, you know, over time that would very hopefully soften.
And
Because it
even
wasn't
if it
the church.
didn't,
The
yeah.
church didn't do anything. You know, but you know, she felt like the church had probably caused her a lot of guilt and other feelings that tend to exacerbate, I
Which
think.
again would have a lot to do with the culture, especially
Yeah.
living in Utah.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, really what came down for us is fundamentally, I think the church is about faith, hope, and charity.
Yeah, and that charity, I think, is what, when you said it was just all about loving her. I mean, that's charity, which is Christ-like love. And I love how Moroni says we have to pray with all the energy of heart, and I'm sure there were a lot of prayers. How were you able to focus on loving her, to make sure that that was your focus rather than anything else?
It was hard sometimes.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Because
Unimaginably
she didn't love
difficult.
us. Okay, she didn't. There was times where she'd say, "Just cut me off. Cut me off. Why are you staying with me like this?" And we go, "Why wouldn't we stay with you? Why would we cut you off?" Well, because you're so messed up and you don't know anything about life. She'd say, "Well, really?" we do know quite a bit, and we know. Bottom line is, Lauren, look, we love you. We will be there to the end. We're never going to let you go. We're never going to let you. You can try and cut us off, but we're always going to be the guy that jumps up in the background somewhere. We're going to be there. You know, we're going to stick with you through thick and thin. And yeah, just because you're angry and don't like the church these days doesn't mean we feel like the church is very important. It's still part of our core, and the things we've learned in the church, and again the principles of the gospel. Bottom line, it comes down to we're going to love you to the end, and we can still love the church too.
Yeah.
And we don't see that as a conflict. Yeah, there are some certain policies in the church that I can understand. I've told her, you know, Lauren, just because you reject the church now, I said, I don't care whether you are Hare Krishna or Catholic or Buddhist or Unitarian or anything. You need, it would be very, very helpful for you. It would to have something to hang on to that way, because God's still God.
Yeah.
And she'd ask me, well, am I going to be with my companion, now my wife, in heaven? I said, I don't know how that's all going to work. I don't think anybody knows how it's going to work.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. All I know is God loves you. He loves us. You were his kid a lot longer before you were our kid. And we're going to love you to the end.
Yeah, well, and I love how you keep talking about that core. And at the core, we're all children of God. And that you just wanted her to feel loved by him and by you. And it sounds like that's really what helped you navigate a really difficult situation and to help everyone feel loved, including yourself and your other kids. And
Yeah.
I admire that so much. Thank you so much for your example. I cannot thank you enough.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about it.